Who was prehistoric Superman's first enemy? T-Rex Luthor. Thanks for stopping by for Comic Book Editions Volume 138. There's so much to talk about in today's video, including a Bronze Age DC Comics key that I wasn't even chasing, plus a book from Comic Book Investments' Rare List. All of this and more in today's video. Welcome, I'm glad that you're here. Tribute Loretta Lynn was released last week. Tribute Loretta Lynn is an update to my very first comic book that I wrote, Female Force Loretta Lynn. This update covers her death. It also has a new cover, and it's available at comicfleamarket.com. It's also available pretty much anywhere online that you can buy books, such as Amazon, Walmart, Target.com, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and even eBay. Check it out if you're interested, and thank you for the support that you've been showing me. Let's get started with today's books, and up first is a trade paperback. This came from the Comic Mint, and they offered the Death of Superman trade for free. All you had to do was cover the shipping. I was happy to do this. The Death of Superman trade paperback collects Action Comics 18 through 20, Adventures of Superman 496 through 498, Superman 73 through 75, Superman the Man of Steel 17 through 19, and then News Time, The Life and Death of Superman, and that's the first time that had ever been included in a trade paperback. This is the 30th anniversary of the Death of Superman release, and I'm happy to have all of this in one collected volume. Man, a comic book storyline probably didn't get more media coverage than this, especially back in the day. I remember what a huge deal it was. I also remember the people that thought that they would be able to retire or put their kids through college based on this book too. And of course, it's so oversold that none of that happened. Doesn't change the fact that it's still a good story based on a joke. If you don't know, when the Superman teams would get together for kind of a retreat, a summit every year to plan out the stories that they were going to tell for the next year. And every year at this retreat, someone would make a joke, what are we going to do with this character for the next year? And someone would always joke and say, let's kill him. Ha, 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 and they laugh. And the next year, someone would make the joke, and so on and so forth. Well, one year, they were waiting for it. Someone made the joke, and someone said, well, wait, what would happen if we did kill him? And that's what led to this storyline. While we're talking Superman, I am so excited to share this next book with you. So if you remember a few weeks back, about 3 weeks back on Comic Book Editions, Volume 135, I shared a key Marvel book that I wasn't even chasing that ended up in my collection. What I'm about to show you is the DC equivalent of that. Boom. Superman number 233. This is the iconic Kryptonite Nevermore storyline where Superman essentially gets rid of Kryptonite, or Kryptonite isn't a problem for him anymore because it's all been turned to iron. It's a huge key comic book. This is a book I never thought I would own. As a matter of fact, the closest I thought I was going to get to this book was Action Comics number 485. And I picked that up at a comic show in late 2011. And if you look at Comic Book Editions Volume 78, you'll see that video where I share that with you. It also has a Neal Adams variation of this cover. I never thought I'd actually get this book. Comic books sometimes come in your life when they're ready to. And now I finally learned, after trial and error, to just, when you have the opportunity, take it, because you might not get the opportunity again. And that's really how I feel with this book. I've always wanted this book. So the Action Comics 485 reprints a significant portion of this book, but bookmarks it front and back with new material. This is the actual original. So Superman becomes immune, essentially, to Kryptonite in this storyline. It also kicks off the beginning of another storyline that would last maybe around a year or so in the Superman title too, about some of his powers failing, and the events of something that happened in this story plays out throughout the next year in the stories. So that's cool. Of course, this is a classic cover that was done by Neal Adams. And you might know this story already. In case you don't, I will share it with you one more time. I used to share the story all the time at the comic store. as part of a store highlight tour. So if you look at this cover, everyone loves this cover. This cover was used in so many different licensing materials. Neal Adams cover, everyone loved it except Neal Adams, who hated it. Why did he hate this cover? Because there's something wrong with it. I'll give you a moment in case you don't know the story to take a look at the cover and try to figure out what's wrong with it. Now I'm about to tell you in case you didn't know, and you'll never look at this book the same way. Superman's leg is out of proportion. And Neal drew it the correct way, and DC stretched the leg to be able to fit the words in underneath, and Neal begged them not to do it, and they did it anyway. And Neal never liked this cover or this image afterwards. Now that it's pointed out to you, you'll probably never not be able to see it again. That's how I was. I never noticed it until it got pointed out to me. Now I always notice it. The story also has a backup, Adventures of Jor-El, and this was the first of that installment. And in this one, it's kind of the story of what kind of led Jor-El and Lara to fall in love. So that was okay. The main Superman story was really good. Also in this issue, it's the first time that Clark Kent goes from being a newspaper reporter to being a television reporter for Galaxy Communications. What is that, WGBS was his TV station? It's his first time that happens in this issue as well. So excited to have this in the collection and never thought I would, because out of all of the Bronze Age Superman, this is one of the more pricier ones. This is one of the ones that is typically a wall book when you find it. And now I have it. Score. More Superman to share today. This is Superman 80-page giant number 2. If I'm remembering correctly, this came out very early 90s, I think. I mean, I want to say it's like 90 or 91 that this came out. And there's several different stories inside of the square-bound book. There's two in particular that I was really drawn to. I wanted to get the book, first of all, because there she is on the cover, Wonder Woman. And I was pretty disciplined and regimented in just buying the Wonder Woman title and the variants for it for a very long time. And if she was guest starring in something else, or if she was in Justice League, I just didn't have the finances for it, and I just stayed focused on the main Wonder Woman title. Now I'm starting to go around and pick up some of the back issues where she was a guest star in the books. And this is one of the ones that I needed. So the Wonder Woman story was really good. In this is at the time that Wonder Woman was living in the Wonder Dome. Don't ask if you're not familiar with what a Wonder Dome is and why she was there. Not necessarily the best part of Wonder Woman folklore era. Anyway, she was in the Wonder Dome. Superman comes to visit her. She hands him some device that brings to life his greatest fantasy or whatever. And it comes to life, and you see Superman kissing this woman. And by all appearances, you think it's Wonder Woman. But it's not. It's Lois. And he does point it out to Wonder Woman that it is Lois. And she does point out that she knows. And she seems sad that it's not her. It was a really good story, though. Then the other story, which is the first one in this book, is Superman is saving this man who's about to jump off this bridge and commit suicide. And he saves him, and when he flies him back up, he's talking to him for a minute, then he says, "Do you want to get some coffee?" And the guy's like, "Do you invite people you save out for coffee?" And he's like, "Well, not usually, but I figure that you need someone to talk to." And then he gets interrupted. He has to save or go to his next rescue. So he takes this man along to 2 or 3 different rescues that he goes on and showing them the meaning and the purpose of life. Really good story that I loved. And there's a friend of mine that this story really reminded me of. So psyched to have this in the collection. Check out this guy. He's my AOK from Schaup4Comics. I love him. Schaup4Comics has been comicizing a lot of YouTube comic book creators into comic book / cartoon form, and I got the treatment for it. And I love it. I love the look that he gave me. I love that there's a little Wonder Woman in there. There's a little Captain America in there too, and I think it's awesome. And I'm so thankful and honored and privileged to be part of this group that he's created. So Schaup4Comics, Thank you for including me. I was beyond stoked when I saw that you did that and shared that with me. I've left a link for Schaup4Comics YouTube channel in the description for this video too. Do me a solid and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would appreciate it. And thank you so much, my friend, for including me. Now I'm up there with people like John Von Doom. I think that that's cool. Thank you. So I don't want this video to get mistaken for my Spectacular Spider Haul videos, but I do have some Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man comic books to share with you. These all predate the Spectacular Spider Haul comic books I've been showing you in those monthly videos. And I didn't purchase these at the same time that I purchased the other ones. So here are some early ones, starting with issue number 3. This issue was also reprinted in packs of High C beverage in 1987. Got a nice Sal Bucema cover art here. Issue 4 has the Vulture. Some of my oldest Spider-Man comic books have the Vulture in them too. So I guess I have a connection to this character a little bit too. And I think that this is a really good Dave Cockrum cover. I haven't had the chance to read these issues yet, but I'm looking forward to doing so. If they're as good as the ones that I have been reading, you know, the 20s through 50s, I'll be very excited. So continuing the story is issue number 5. I think this is a classic cover. This is a cover that you see posted quite often because it is so good. Another Dave Cockrum cover too. I like that gallery of rogues there. Issue number 7, I'm not sure who the female character is on the cover that Spider-Man's swinging around with, but doesn't she look like DC Comics Vixen? I mean, to me, it looks just like Vixen. That's crazy, but I love it. Of course, we have Morbius back in this storyline as well, another Dave Cockrum cover. And then, this one isn't a Dave Cockrum cover. Paul G. What is his last name? It's like G-U-I-N-E-Y. I'm not so much familiar with his work, but it's an okay cover. This is Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man issue number 8, continuing that Morbius storyline. So with the acquisition of these 5 books that I showed you, that means I have a solid run of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, that goes from issue 1 through issue 55 consecutively before I have my first break in the volume. So when I pick up with my Spectacular Spider Haul videos next month, which will be part 5 of at least 7 parts that are planned, I'll be jumping from issue 55 up into the 70s, issue number-wise. So look for that dropping on my channel next month. I try to do about 1 a month or so of my Spectacular Spider Hauls until I get completely caught up. Here we go. Comicbookinvestments.com has a list of DC Universe logo variants. Which comic books had them? For those that don't know in a nutshell, DC Universe logos, which you can tell right over here, those were like reprints that were found in 3-pack comic packs or so. They're definitely not first print comics. This, according to comicbookinvestments.com, is on the list of very rare DCU logo variants. They have a really extensive list over there, including which ones are rare. This one makes the list. This is the first time I've ever seen a DCU logo version of this out in the wild. This issue is a key nonetheless. First of all, if you're not familiar with what book this is, it's Wonder Woman Volume 2, issue number 90. It's a key for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's the first appearance of the character Artemis. Number 2, this begins the 2 consecutive storylines, the contest / trial of Artemis. And rereading this was so good and it brought back so many memories for me too. This issue essentially, Wonder Woman is back on Paradise Island after Circe has made the island disappear. To Diana, it's only been gone for weeks to a month-ish. For the Amazons, it felt like it's been 10 years since they've been gone and what they've gone through. So it brings Diana back and reunites her with her mother and her Amazon sisters. It introduces Artemis and the second tribe of Amazons. And at the end, it calls Hippolyta calls for a new contest for there to be a new Wonder Woman. And that's kind of the cliffhanger of how the issue ends. Very good story, which is very similar, or at least based on Wonder Woman 250 and 251 with an Amazon called Orana. So I'll talk about that. I should talk about the similarities between those in a different video sometime. But I already had this book, but I didn't have the DCU logo variant. And I wanted to have at least some Wonder Woman DCU logo variant to represent in my collection. But to get one that made comicbookinvestment.com's rare list is even better. 700 subscribers. I have finally gotten it back. So a few months ago, I released a short, and the thing took off. It did like 18K in views, and I got a massive amount of subscribers all in one day, all at once. And then it seems like YouTube has punished me for that, and it's taken so many away. It took close to 40 away from me. And to rebuild those back up has been painstakingly long process. But it looks like it's here, and it looks like it is stuck. And I've gotten to 700 and passed already, thanks to your support. Those 690s were so tough. Every time I'd get in the 690s, it seems like I would get knocked back down into the high 680s. But now, like I said, it looks like it finally stuck, thanks to you. If you're new to my channel and haven't subscribed yet, I hope that you'll join the other 700 plus folks who have, and do so. I would appreciate it. As we come to the end of this Comic Book Editions video, what was your favorite book that I shared today? I would love to know that. And if you have any of the books or are hunting any of the books that I showed today too, has there ever been some key, it can be Marvel or DC, that you were chasing, or maybe weren't even chasing, that just kind of ended up in your lap and you knew to take advantage of the situation? Let's talk about that in the comment section below. Your comments are welcomed, encouraged, and appreciated. Thanks for making it to the end of this Comic Book Editions video. Check out my back issue of the week short, which I dropped yesterday. It's the final one for Women's History Month. The entire month of March, I devoted it, the back issue of the week shorts, to highlighting some female comic book titles throughout the years. So it's a Marvel one, but it's a Marvel character that I think I'm kind of associated with a little bit. Wonder Woman is the character in all comic books I think I'm most associated with, but this character I think I'm also have a little bit of association with as well. So check out that back issue of the week short. Look for Fanboys Live and the Retro Review coming up this weekend. Thanks again for making it to the end of this video. I hope you have a fantastic week. Take care.